Hi, it's David from Southgate Travel. I want to talk to you about a recent 3-week trip we did to Portugal. We covered Lisbon, Porto, and the Algarve. Had a great trip. I want to talk to you about the attractions, food, weather, and more. And at the end, I'll have a budget review of how we came in price-wise on this trip. So let's look at Google Maps and just get kind of a bigger outline of how this worked. So here in Maps, we flew into Lisbon, right here. Uh, it was 3 days, took a train up to Porto, and we actually stayed at a town just up here. Can't quite see it on map, on Matosinhos. Matosinhos, then you could take the local bus into Porto whenever you liked. We probably went into Porto for 4 days over that nice double-decker bus. I actually did a review of that recently, and it's on one of my other videos. And then after I think 8 days, staying at the 4 Points by Marriott in Matosinhos, we took a train down all the way down to Olhao, which is right down here next to Faro. So Faro is normally the hub down here for the Algarve, and the from Faro you can take local trains. We went up to Tavira for a road trip, and we went to Faro for a road trip from Olhao. So in Lisbon, we got off a 9 a.m. arrival flight and just took a subway 3 stops into Oriente station. It's a big train station in Lisbon, a very central location. All the trains, all the buses go through there. We stayed at the Moxy by Marriott there. I think it was 80 euros a night. It was off season. It was in March, early March. A great, highly recommended stop point, nice and central. So we enjoyed the Moxy there. We're right across the street from a nice shopping mall, very nice shopping mall with lots of like quick eating options. And then the bus stop was right across the street, and the train station was just in the back of the mall kind of thing. So we had no issues with the Moxy there. It was really good. We spent our time going into Lisbon on the subway, probably 20 minutes, took you right to the historic district. There was no reason to have a car or taxi. The buses and trains were just fantastic there. No reason at all. So let's look at the map, and we'll show you where Oriente is. So here's Oriente here, and you'll see the airport, and it's just subway stop, 3 subway stops into Lisbon Oriente, and then you go down from there, downtown historic Porto. The interesting thing for us, being from the Maritimes, we were interested in the cod museum. It's called Bacala there, and it's a very, very popular fish. And there's lots of history where the Portuguese went over to Newfoundland and fished the Grand Banks and came back. The museum is quite interesting. We went through that. The one thing, the hint, I guess, in almost any really touristy spot, if you want to travel on a bit of a budget, avoid white tablecloth restaurants, which we did. You can go 2-3 blocks off to the side from the white tablecloths, and you can be eating a beautiful meal for maybe 8 euros a meal, like for lunch or dinner. And you get, again, you get kind of an all-included thing. You'll get a drink with that. So just avoid the white tablecloths. If you want to splurge, you can spend 40-50 euros for this almost the same food in a white tablecloth, on the waterfront, if you want to do that. We didn't do that. We just went a couple blocks off to the side. We found some great places to eat. So that would be pretty much the hint. We went from Lisbon to Lisbon Oriente to Porto on the train. The train was probably, I think, 5 euros to take the train up. It was like dirt cheap. The tip is, with the train, book it in advance. I'll put up 30 days out, they go on sale, and it'll certainly cost more. So the tip is that use the app, book it in the app, and you can get some good travel deals that regional travel is just amazing. The train was good. The train station was right across the street from our hotel. You couldn't ask for a better setup. It was really good. In Porto, we stayed at a town called Matosinhos. Matosinhos is like a suburb of Porto. The tip for Matosinhos is to take the city bus in. I can't remember the bus route number, but it's a double decker. It's a fantastic bus. Takes you right in along the waterfront, right in through Porto, and it terminates in the historic area. Beautiful, beautiful ride. We enjoyed the ride every time we went in. We stayed at the Four Points by Marriott in Matosinhos, and the bus stop was basically across the street. You couldn't ask for a better setup. I think the fare was maybe €1. I mean, it was dirt cheap. You could go into town and pay $100 for an excursion to come out and see these areas, or you could take the city bus. And it was really, really nice. It wasn't crowded. Again, we were there in March. The weather in March is going to be hit or miss. It's kind of like going to Florida in January, really. You can get some really nice days. It is a bit of a rainy season still, so it just depends. The year we went was last year. February was actually better than March. People that were over in February had better weather than we had in March, so that's unusual, but it's hit or miss, so just keep that in mind. Matosinhos is a great town. You go into Lisbon, again, avoid the white tablecloths. The food, you don't have to go far from the waterfront areas, and the restaurants are great. They're a lot of fun. We really, really enjoyed that, and we had no problem taking the public transportation back out to Matosinhos. We did not feel unsafe in the evenings. We had no problem. You could stay in Porto, as long as you like. You weren't going to have a problem. It was a great, 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 great spot. Porto. Then from Porto, we went down to Olhao. The route we did was you had to take kind of the subway from our place in Matosinhos to the companion station. And companion station, you just take a train all the way down to Olhao, going through Faro. Faro is going to be the hub in the Algarve. But it was a great train ride. I'd highly recommend it. We had thought about the train. I'm sorry, we thought about the plane. The plane would have been quicker, but we really, really enjoyed the train ride down. They're fast trains. The perpendicular, or they call them, they lean. So, and they're very fast trains. The washrooms are good. The dining cars are fine in them. We really enjoyed it. I wouldn't bother taking the train. It's just not worth it. You'll see more and you'll enjoy it more on the train. So we did that. So it's a full day going down there, but we weren't exhausted. It's very comfortable on the train. There's really no risk. I think there was we did a train change in Lisbon. It was not a problem at all. If you just ask the conductor, and they'll point you to the right platform to go to. But we had no problem. It was just fine. So the train ride down was really, really good. I can't remember the costs off the top of my head. I don't think it was any more than 10, 12 euros each. I mean, the best travel bargain in the world. So we did that. Then coming down to Olhao, we went through Faro. So again, another train change, and the regional trains down there that go like from Lagos to Faro and across are much older. Don't expect to get food on them. Probably bring your own stuff if you want to eat on those trains. But again, safe. Had no issue. And the run on time, we had no problem with strikes, no problem with late trains. It was all good. So we stayed in a town called Olhao. And Olhao is like a traditional fishing town. There's no beach in Olhao. In Olhao, you have to take a little ferry out to go to an island. That's the beach. In March, the day we went out, it was probably the best day that we had, but it's still cool. So it was basically shorts and hoodies, but a beautiful town, beautiful towns on the island. The restaurants are rip-offs. They're like, you're going to pay 3 times for your meal is what you would pay in Olhao for the same meal. There's no question about that. So if you want to take a picnic lunch out with you, that's great. But we had a really great day out there, and the ferry was top notch. The one restaurant I would recommend there was, we found a little restaurant right by the ferry stop, and we had to wait maybe half hour for a ferry this day, and we just stopped in for a burger in there, and actually it was well priced, compared to the rest of the island, and it was great. So you might want to look in there, do that. But that was a great day trip. The other day trips we did a day trip to Faro, and Faro was a lovely little trip. It's really close, only 10 minutes on the train. And again, you're seeing your churches, your historic areas, the forts, and the restaurant and the dining is all really nice. Faro has a big airport, so if you were going to Portugal just to go to the Algarve, you probably want to just fly into Faro and avoid Lisbon and the trip down from Lisbon, depending on your flights and the cost of your flights. But we did the trip to see all of Portugal. It was our first trip to Portugal, so we wanted to see as much as we could. Uh, so Faro was a great day trip. The other town we went to down there was Tavira, and Tavira was a really nice town. They have picturesque Gothic bridges that go across the water there. Really nice. The churches are great. The waterfront areas were nice. It's like kind of a river that comes in, so you're not. It's not really on the coast. It's a river that's just near the mouth of the river, really. The dining was really nice. We actually found a restaurant for lunch there, a white tablecloth restaurant. We don't normally do those, but there was one there that day, and it was a great value for what we got. We really enjoyed it. The photography walking around Travera is just exceptional. It was just a lot of beautiful things. You could, if you're a photographer, I mean, highly recommend it. It's fantastic. So we really enjoyed that. And back to Ola. So Ola is where we were based out of. The hotel we stayed at in Ola was a pure concept, Future Mirror, I think pure concept. And it was a relatively new designer hotel, I think. Um, and I did some research. I booked it from Expedia, and they have a standard room, and then they have a premium room. And at the time, all that was available was premium room, so we booked it. The experience was good. The hotel was nice. The premium rooms are the rooms that are on the front of the hotel, and they overlook the main street. But after the first night, it was obvious to us the main street was very loud. So you have all the people at 1 in the morning leaving the bars and all of that kind of stuff. If you're a light sleeper, I don't recommend the premium rooms. We talked to the manager after the first night, and he was able to put us into a standard room that's more in the back of the hotel, much quieter. There was a little light. There's a courtyard there, so it's not like you're buried in an interior cabin on a cruise ship or something. It was a nice, quiet room, but overlooking a little courtyard there, so we like that. Strangely, they don't give you a refund when you have a situation like that. You're kind of downgrading a room. But what he did was offered us breakfast, I think, for 3 mornings in exchange for the premium, which is fine. So he was good. The manager was good. The hotel was great. Relatively new, kind of like IKEA style furniture, which is very European. But a good room, a fantastic breakfast, and a very convenient location. So from that hotel, we were only maybe a 5 or 10 minute walk max down to the waterfront in Ola, and all the sights and sounds that you're going to get around there was just great. Along the way down, there was lots of little restaurants. We found an Indian pizza restaurant, which was surprisingly good. We ate there a few nights actually. It was just great. That time of the year in March, a lot of the restaurants aren't necessarily open. So some are closed. So you're not going to get the same experience there that you're going to get if you were in, like June, July. It's going to where it'd be warmer and there's more tourists around. But it was great. It wasn't crowded. The waterfront was great. There was like not flea markets, but like just markets down there where the they had like olives and vegetables and things like that. That was really nice. The ferries down there and all the nice restaurants and entertainment and music. So that was good. We stopped into a place where they do their traditional music on just one of the entertainment venues down there. We really, really enjoyed it. Lots of good local music. It was great. Hotel wasn't particularly expensive. I think it was maybe 80 euros. We were very happy with that. They had a really nice rooftop pool. It was in like you couldn't be any more central in town. It was really the middle of their town. Some of the interesting things you'll see, we saw an old guy, maybe 90, on his bicycle. and he had his cane strapped off onto his bicycle going to the coffee shop in the morning. And it's just kind of interesting seeing that. Just something you just don't see around Canada. Really, no one goes on their bike with a cane strapped to it. So you'll see little things like that were kind of interesting. So a great little town. Not on the main tourist trail in a sense. People don't talk about Ola that much, but it was a really, really great town. So we really enjoyed that part of the trip. I think we stayed there about 8 nights, 7, 8 nights. And then we took a train back up to Lisbon. We had friends we met in Lisbon one afternoon. We had a great little visit with them. So we spent 2 more nights up in Lisbon, again at the Moxy, which just can't beat the convenience of the Moxy. When we had to go down, we met our friends in the historic district. We just hopped on the subway. It was no problem at all. Again, enjoyed a lot of Lisbon, and I think we spent 1.5 a day kind of touring around Oriente too. We were really impressed with Oriente. Oriente was quite fun. So we went from there to the day we were leaving. It was a morning flight, and it was so simple. You just walk across the street to the subway, 3 stops out to the airport, boom. The Air Canada flight back was fantastic. On that trip, we had no flight problems. It was really good. So expense-wise, this was a pretty inexpensive trip. Let's go to the spreadsheet. So what we see, the top numbers, the numbers for hotels, food, and transportation are actually in euros. And then in the bottom, I converted everything to Canadian dollars. So this was 3 weeks, staying at a combination of Moxy's, Marriott Moxy, 4 Points by Marriott, and then down in the Algarve, we stayed at the Pure Futura designer hotel, I guess they call it, or boutique hotel. So in Canadian dollars, we were looking at about $2,100 for 3 weeks of travel down there. We could have reduced that more, probably staying at Airbnbs. It's just the places that we were interested on this trip. They seemed to make the most sense for us. Food was very, very inexpensive. We actually spent less on food on this trip than we would have in Halifax. When I mentally budget these trips, I'm like, there's no cost of food because it would have cost us that to eat at home. We could have splurged and ate out a bit more. In retrospect, maybe we should have, but we ate good. The food was very, very good. We ate a lot of very healthy fish, a lot of very healthy fruit and vegetables down there. It was very, very good food. And it was very economical. It wasn't an issue. Local transportation was outstanding. It was just totally outstanding. We had mostly the buses and trains, very inexpensive. Down in the Algarve, you don't even have to book your trains ahead. We didn't actually. It's our day trips. We just did like spur of the moment. There were seniors rates. We took advantage of those, and it cost just a small number of euros local transportation. You'll see from the spreadsheet there. So that was pretty much it. Airfare was $980 Canadian for the. That was after the discounts that we have. I think we're really looking at $800 each before the credits. So total that we spent on the trip was about $3,900, worked out to less than $200 a day. We really enjoyed the trip. So in summary, we really, really enjoyed Portugal. Recommend anyone goes there, have a great trip. I wouldn't change a thing in this trip. We liked the hotels we stayed at. We had great experiences. The flights were great. It was nice having friends to meet up with over there. Really good experience. And for 3 weeks, I think we got the highlights. If you were staying longer, we would have got down to Lagos, and we would have spent more time in the Algarve, and a couple more towns down there. But overall, excellent trip. Highly recommend it. March was a bit cool. April probably is a better month, but March is much warmer than it is in Halifax for sure. Anyway, remember to subscribe, like the video, and comments. We love reading comments and responding to comments. So if you do the trip, have a great trip. You will enjoy it. Portugal is a beautiful country to visit.